Close your eyes for a second and imagine this. It's 20 years from now. You wake up one morning, look in the mirror, and suddenly it hits you. This is your life. Not the life you planned in your head, not the life you dreamed about late at night, but the life your daily choices created. Now here's the scary part. Nothing major went wrong. No big failure. No tragic mistake. You just kept saying, I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it when I have time. It's only 20 minutes. It doesn't matter. And today, those 20 minutes are gone forever. Let me ask you something, and don't lie to yourself. What if the difference between the life you're living and the life you want is just 20 minutes a day, not 20 hours, not a complete lifestyle change, not quitting everything, just 20 minutes that you're already giving away to distractions, excuses, and comfort. Here's the truth nobody tells you. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more time. You don't need someone to save you. What you need is one decision, a decision so small it feels insignificant, but so powerful it can rewrite the next 20 years of your life. Because the future you are praying for is quietly waiting for the 20 minutes you keep wasting today. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might be uncomfortable, but it might also be the moment your life finally changes. Let me tell you something that might shake you a little. Your entire life can change because of one decision. Not 100 decisions. Not some dramatic overnight miracle. Just one moment where you finally say, enough is enough. Most people think change comes from motivation. It doesn't. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel it. Some days you don't. But a real decision doesn't care how you feel. A decision is when you draw a line in your life and say, I'm not crossing back over this again. Every major turning point in your life came from a decision. The job you took, the person you trusted, the habits you kept, even the mistakes you regret today, they all started with a choice. And here's the part most people don't want to accept. If one bad decision can cost you years, one good decision can give them back. Think about it. Your life didn't slowly fall apart overnight. It drifted. One excuse here, one delay there, one moment of comfort instead of discipline. You didn't ruin your future. You postponed it. And postponement is dangerous because it feels harmless. You tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow turns into next week. Next week turns into next year. And one day you wake up wondering where the time went. That's why this decision matters so much. Not the decision to be perfect, not the decision to never fail again, but the decision to start even when you're scared, tired, or unsure. See, most people are waiting for confidence, but confidence doesn't come first. Confidence comes after action. You don't feel ready and then decide. You decide and readiness follows. There's power in making a decision and sticking to it when nobody is watching, when there's no applause, when there's no instant reward, when it feels like nothing is changing. That's when the decision is being tested. Anyone can decide when it's easy. Anyone can commit when results are immediate. But winners are built in moments of doubt. That moment when your mind says, skip it today. That moment when comfort whispers, you deserve a break. That moment when fear says, what if it doesn't work? And you still choose to show up. That's the power of a decision. A decision tells your brain who's in charge, not emotions, not circumstances, not excuses. You are. And once you decide, something shifts internally. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop making deals with your laziness. You stop waiting for permission. You understand that nobody is coming to save you. And that's not scary, that's empowering, because it means your future is in your hands. A single decision creates momentum. Momentum creates habits. Habits create identity. And identity creates destiny. You don't become successful because you try harder one day. You become successful because you decide what kind of person you are going to be. And then you live in alignment with that decision. Decide that you are the kind of person who shows up. Decide that you are the kind of person who honors your word. Decide that you are the kind of person who doesn't quit when things get uncomfortable. And once that decision is made, your actions start to follow automatically. The reason so many people stay stuck isn't because they lack talent or intelligence. It's because they keep their options open. They never fully decide. They say things like, I'll try, I'll see how it goes, if it works out. But a decision doesn't sound like that. A decision sounds like this is happening, no matter what. And when you decide like that, the world responds differently to you. Opportunities show up. Resources appear. Strength rises when you thought you had none. Not because life suddenly got easier, but because you finally got serious. So if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. The decision you make today doesn't have to change everything at once. It just has to change the direction. Because once your direction changes, your life will never be the same again. And all it takes is one decision. Let's talk about something most people try to avoid, something uncomfortable, something real: sacrifice. Because whether you like it or not, you're going to sacrifice something. The only question is what you're willing to give up. See, life doesn't ask you if you want to pay. It just hands you the bill. You can pay a small price today, or you can pay a heavy price for years. And the difference between those two prices is often just 20 minutes. Most people think sacrifice means suffering. They think it means giving up happiness, freedom, or peace. But that's not true. Real sacrifice isn't about losing something. It's about trading something. You trade comfort for growth. You trade distraction for direction. You trade temporary pleasure for long-term peace. Right now, every day, you are making that trade whether you realize it or not. Those 20 minutes you spend scrolling, binge watching, complaining, or procrastinating, that's a sacrifice too. You're sacrificing your future for your present comfort. And the scary part, it feels harmless because it's just 20 minutes. But let me tell you something about time. Time doesn't care how small the moment feels. Time multiplies everything. 20 minutes of discipline repeated daily turns into knowledge, skill, confidence, and opportunity. 20 minutes of neglect repeated daily turns into regret, frustration, and missed chances. You don't suddenly wake up one day stuck. You arrive there slowly, one ignored responsibility at a time, one delayed decision at a time, one excuse at a time. That's why this matters so much. People love to say, I don't have time. But that's rarely the truth. The truth is we all have the same 24 hours. Some people invest their time, others spend it, and some people waste it. And wasted time always sends an invoice later. The price shows up as stress, as unfulfilled potential, as watching others live the life you secretly wanted. Sacrifice is simply deciding when you want to struggle, because struggle is unavoidable. You either struggle with discipline now, or you struggle with consequences later. Discipline hurts for minutes, regret hurts for years, and regret has a voice. It shows up late at night when you can't sleep. It shows up when you look at someone else's success and wonder, why not me? It shows up when your dreams feel too far away to reach. All because of moments you thought didn't matter. 20 minutes is small enough to ignore, but powerful enough to change your life. Think about it. What could 20 focused minutes a day do if you use them properly? Learning a new skill, building a business, improving your health, strengthening your mindset, planning your future instead of escaping from it. You don't need to overhaul your entire life. You need to stop protecting your comfort. Comfort is addictive. It tells you to rest when you should be working. It tells you to wait when you should be moving. It tells you tomorrow will be easier, even though tomorrow is built by today. Comfort is the reason so many people stay average, not because they aren't capable, but because they aren't willing to feel uncomfortable for a short period of time. And here's the hard truth. If you don't choose your sacrifices, life will choose them for you. Missed opportunities, financial stress, unfulfilled potential, living below what you know you're capable of. That's a heavy price to pay for avoiding 20 minutes of discomfort. The most successful people aren't superhuman. They just decided that short-term sacrifice was worth long-term freedom. They understood that 20 minutes a day, done consistently, is a form of respect for their future, their dreams, and their potential. So every time you're faced with that choice, comfort or discipline, escape or effort now or later, remember this, you will pay either way. Pay with focus now or pay with regret later. Sacrifice 20 minutes today or spend the next 20 years wondering what could have been. The choice is yours. Let me tell you something that doesn't get talked about enough in a world full of noise, silence. Real progress doesn't make announcements. Real growth doesn't need permission. And real success doesn't argue with anybody. It moves quietly. Most people feel the need to tell everyone what they're about to do. They post it. They announce it. They look for applause before the work even starts. But here's the truth. The more you talk, the less you do. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is focus. When you stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your vision, you conserve energy, and that energy can finally be put where it belongs, into the work. See, every time you seek validation, you give away power. You allow opinions to shape your direction. You let doubt sneak in through other people's fears. Silence protects your momentum. Because the early stages of anything meaningful are fragile. Dreams break easily when exposed to too many voices. Plans collapse when shared with the wrong people. That's why focus matters so much. Focus is saying no to distractions that look harmless. Focus is choosing depth over entertainment. Focus is staying committed to the process when results are invisible. Focus is hard because it demands presence. It demands discipline. It demands that you sit with boredom instead of escaping it. And most people can't stand boredom. They confuse movement with progress. They stay busy but never move forward. They start many things but finish nothing. Focus means narrowing your life instead of expanding it. It means committing to fewer things and doing them well. And once you combine silence with focus, something powerful happens: consistency. Consistency is the part nobody claps for. It's not exciting. It's not glamorous. It's repetitive. And that's exactly why it works. Consistency is showing up on the days you feel tired, on the days you feel uninspired, on the days nothing seems to be working. It's easy to work when motivation is high. It's easy to focus when you feel good. But consistency doesn't depend on feelings. Consistency is a decision you honor daily. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. They quit too early because they don't see immediate change. They forget that growth is happening quietly beneath the surface, like roots before fruit. Silence keeps you from quitting prematurely. Focus keeps you from getting distracted. Consistency keeps you from starting over. And starting over is exhausting. Every time you quit, you reset progress. Every time you break consistency, you have to rebuild momentum. That's why staying quiet and committed is so powerful. You don't need everyone to understand your journey. You just need to stay on it. When you work in silence, you stop competing with others. You stop comparing timelines. You stop rushing the process. You understand that your only competition is who you were yesterday. And consistency slowly builds confidence. Not fake confidence, not loud confidence, but the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. You start trusting your word. You start believing in your discipline. You stop needing external motivation because you've proven to yourself day after day that you show up, and that changes how you walk, how you speak, how you carry yourself. People will eventually notice, but by the time they do, the work is already done. That's the beauty of silence. Success feels sudden to outsiders, but it was built slowly, consistently, and quietly. Focus keeps you locked in. Consistency keeps you moving. Silence keeps you protected. Together, they create something unstoppable. So don't announce your next move. Don't explain your discipline. Don't argue with doubters. Just work. Let your consistency speak. Let your results make noise. And one day, people will ask how you did it. Smile and stay silent. Take a real look around you for a moment, not just at where you are, but at what surrounds you. The conversations you hear every day, the content you consume, the places you spend your time, the people whose opinions you value. None of that is accidental. Your environment is quietly shaping you, whether you're aware of it or not. Most people believe their future is controlled by luck, talent, or opportunity. But the truth is far simpler and far more uncomfortable. Your future is being built by your habits, reinforced by your environment. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. If you live in an environment that normalizes laziness, excuses, and complaining, you will slowly become comfortable with those things, even if you hate them. If you surround yourself with people who settle, you'll start justifying why settling isn't so bad. If you constantly consume negativity, drama, and distraction, your mind will reflect that chaos. And here's the danger. It happens slowly. You don't wake up one day and say, I'm choosing a small life. You drift there one habit at a time, one influence at a time, one environment you never question. Habits are powerful because they remove decision making. You don't think, you repeat. That's why bad habits are so easy to maintain and good habits feel so difficult at first. Your brain loves familiarity, not growth. If your environment supports distraction, procrastination becomes normal. If your environment supports discipline, progress becomes automatic. That's why change feels hard, not because you're weak, but because your environment is stronger than your intentions. You can have the best goals in the world, but if your surroundings don't support them, you will eventually quit. This is why successful people are ruthless about what they allow into their lives. They protect their mental space. They limit access to people who drain them. They choose environments that challenge them instead of comforting them. Not because they think they're better, but because they understand something most people ignore. Environment beats willpower. Willpower gets tired, motivation fades, but environment works on you even when you're not paying attention. Look at your daily habits, how you start your morning, what you reach for when you're bored, what you do when you feel stressed or tired. Those habits are not random. They were trained into you by repetition and environment. And the beautiful part, that means they can be retrained. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. You need to change what's within arm's reach. What you see when you wake up, what you hear during the day, what you consume before bed. Small environmental changes create massive behavioral shifts. If your phone is your biggest distraction, your environment is working against you. If your friends mock ambition, your environment is shrinking your vision. If your space is chaotic, your mind will reflect that disorder. But when you start cleaning up your environment, something powerful happens internally. Clarity increases, focus improves, discipline becomes easier. Your habits stop feeling forced and start feeling natural. And over time, habits shape identity. You don't become disciplined by trying to be disciplined. You become disciplined by repeatedly doing disciplined things. And identity shapes destiny. You act in alignment with who you believe you are. That's why changing your environment isn't superficial, it's strategic. It's choosing to build a future-friendly space around you. Because the truth is, you are constantly being influenced. The question is, by what? Your future doesn't come from one dramatic moment. It comes from ordinary days lived on repeat. And if you want a different future, you need different habits. And if you want different habits, you need a different environment. Change what surrounds you and you change what you become. Not instantly, not magically, but inevitably. And one day, you'll look at your life and realize your future wasn't an accident. It was built one habit, one environment, one choice at a time. Let me clear something up right now. Faith alone is not enough, and work alone will eventually break you. People love to separate the two. Some say, just believe. Others say, just grind. But real transformation happens when faith and work walk together. Faith gives you vision. Work gives you structure. Faith shows you what's possible. Work turns possibility into reality. If you have faith without work, you stay hopeful but stuck. You believe, you pray, you dream, but nothing changes. And if you work without faith, you burn out. You grind with no purpose. You hustle with no peace. That's why so many people feel exhausted yet unfulfilled. They're moving, but they're not aligned. Faith is not passive. Real faith demands action. Faith is waking up and showing up even when nothing makes sense yet. Faith is taking the step before the full path is visible. Faith is working in silence, trusting that effort is being recorded even when results aren't showing. And here's the truth most people struggle with. Faith will test your patience before it rewards your persistence. You will work days, weeks, even months with no visible change. You'll question whether it's worth it. You'll wonder if you heard the calling correctly. That's not punishment, that's preparation. Because transformation doesn't start on the outside, it starts internally. Before your circumstances change, you change. Your discipline improves. Your mindset strengthens. Your character matures. Work is the refining fire. It strips away excuses. It exposes weaknesses. It builds endurance. And faith keeps you from quitting when work gets hard. Most people give up right before the breakthrough, not because they lack ability, but because they lose belief. They think faith means things should be easy. But faith doesn't remove obstacles. It gives you the strength to move through them. Work is what turns belief into evidence. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you're proving something to yourself. Every time you stay consistent without recognition, you're building trust in your own word. That trust changes how you move in the world. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for approval. You stop panicking when things don't go your way. Because you know, if you keep working and keep believing, something will shift. Transformation is rarely instant. It's gradual. It's subtle. You won't always notice it happening. But one day, you'll look back and realize you're no longer the person you used to be. Your reactions are different. Your standards are higher. Your confidence is quieter but stronger. That's the result of faith and work combined. Faith gives meaning to the struggle. Work gives direction to the belief. Together, they create momentum that can't be shaken. You stop seeing setbacks as signs to quit. You start seeing them as part of the process. You understand that delays are not denials, they're lessons. And when things finally start to break through, you're ready. Not just ready for success, ready to sustain it. Because unprepared success can destroy you, but prepared success transforms you. That's why faith doesn't rush the process. It trusts timing. And work honors that timing by staying committed daily. You don't need to see the entire staircase, just take the next step. Believe while you build. Work while you wait. That's how transformation happens. Not by magic, not by luck, but by showing up with faith in your heart and discipline in your hands every single day. And when the change finally arrives, you'll know it wasn't accidental. It was earned. So now the question is simple. What are you going to do with the next 20 minutes? Not tomorrow, not next week, not when life gets easier. Right now. Because your future is not built in dramatic moments. It's built in ordinary ones you either respect or waste. 20 minutes doesn't feel powerful. That's why most people ignore it. But those who understand it win. 20 minutes of discipline compounds into years of freedom. 20 minutes of focus compounds into clarity. 20 minutes of sacrifice compounds into a legacy. You don't need to be extraordinary today. You just need to be intentional. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for confidence. Stop waiting for approval. Decide, show up, stay consistent. Work in silence, protect your environment, honor your habits. Keep your faith strong and your efforts stronger. Because one day, sooner than you think, you will wake up living in the results of what you're doing right now. And when that day comes, make sure you can look back and say, I didn't waste my time. I didn't quit on myself. I used those 20 minutes and they gave me my life. The next 20 years are waiting. What you do in the next 20 minutes will decide everything.